Lyra walked through the bustling corridors of the station, her luminescent skin dimmed slightly in the artificial lights. She tried to make herself small, as though shrinking could erase the eyes that barely glanced her way. Every corridor seemed alive with chatter and clattering footsteps. Merchants called to customers, traders shouted orders to their crews, and somewhere above, a mechanical hum of docking ships filled the air. Yet among all this life, Lyra felt invisible. She paused at a corner, leaning against the cool metal wall. Her fingers brushed the edge of her small satchel where she carried a few tools and personal belongings. Mostly tools. She didn't own much else. No one had ever asked for her company or her thoughts. Not here, not anywhere she had been. "No one wants me," she whispered, the words soft enough that only she could hear them. The sound of her own voice startled her. She had said it so many times in her head, but saying it aloud somehow made it real. A group of alien workers passed by. They were tall, with skin the color of bronze and ridges across their foreheads. They glanced at Lyra as if she were a stain on the floor. One of them muttered something she didn't understand, but the tone was enough. A laugh that wasn't meant for her, meant to remind her that she was different and unwanted. Lyra hugged her satchel tighter and continued walking, pretending not to hear. The station's marketplace opened up ahead. It was a chaotic jumble of stalls and booths, each selling something unique. There were spices that smelled of forest she had never seen, fabrics that shimmered in ways that made her eyes ache, and trinkets that seemed alive with tiny movements. She wandered slowly among them, careful not to bump anyone. She wanted to be unnoticed. She wanted to disappear. A human voice broke through her thoughts. "Careful there." He wasn't speaking with anger or judgment, just a gentle caution. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, her words barely audible. She had learned long ago that humans were rare here. Most preferred to keep to themselves or stay in their trade ships. This one, though, there was something different about him. "I'm Elias," he said. He smiled slightly, the kind of smile that didn't demand anything but invited trust. "You're Lyra, right?" She had expected disbelief or perhaps a quick dismissal. Instead, he sounded genuinely interested. Her fingers itched to reach into her satchel to show him what she had been working on for months, something that no one here had valued except in their dismissive remarks. Before she could say anything, a group of the same bronze-skinned aliens appeared ahead, blocking her path. They looked angry. One of them stepped forward, a sneer spreading across his face. "What's this human doing with her?" he demanded. "Don't waste your time on someone like her." His voice carried an authority she hadn't expected from a human. "She is under my protection." He guided Lyra through the throng, moving quickly until they were out of immediate sight. They ducked into a small alcove near a quiet maintenance corridor. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest, not from fear alone, but from a strange mix of hope and disbelief. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, her voice small. "Because," Elias said simply, "everyone deserves a chance to be seen. You have something special, I can tell." They don't want me." It looked crude, but she had built it with care. It was a life support converter, something that could transform ambient energy into oxygen for dying plants. She had designed it for experimentation, not knowing if it would even work outside her lab. Elias leaned forward, genuinely intrigued. "You made this?" he asked. "Yes," Lyra said quietly. "I've been working on it for months. No one here thinks it's important. They say it's useless." Before they could continue talking, a loud commotion erupted near the marketplace. The bronze-skinned aliens had returned, and they were more aggressive this time. Lyra felt her stomach twist. She wanted to run, to hide, but Elias didn't budge. "Stay close to me," he instructed. Together, they navigated through the crowd, weaving around merchants and traders, using small side passages that Lyra hadn't noticed before. Her mind raced. She had spent so long alone that she had forgotten how to trust someone completely. Yet Elias made it feel possible. Finally, they emerged into a quieter section of the station, a place where the hum of machinery was the loudest sound. Lyra leaned against the wall, catching her breath. "Why did you save me?" she asked again, her voice trembling slightly. "Because someone has to," Elias said simply. "Because I can, and because I believe in giving people a chance." For the first time in her life, she felt the faintest flicker of belonging. They sat in silence for a moment, the chaos of the station distant behind them. Lyra's mind wandered to the possibilities ahead. Could someone like her truly find a place where she mattered? Could she trust this human who had appeared seemingly out of nowhere? "I don't know if I can," she admitted. "I've been left behind too many times." A symbol of her own worth, of her abilities, and of the possibility that someone might finally care. As the station continued to hum around them, Lyra realized that something had changed. For the first time, she wasn't invisible. For the first time, someone had chosen her. And maybe, just maybe, that choice could lead her somewhere she had never thought possible, a place where she truly belonged. The day after their encounter in the crowded corridors, Lyra found herself wandering toward the quieter end of the station again. She carried her satchel with her invention tucked carefully inside. Somehow, the weight felt different now, less like a burden and more like a promise. She had spent years hiding her work, convinced that no one would ever care. Yet Elias' words echoed in her mind. You've created something that could help entire colonies survive. She wanted to be part of something bigger to matter somewhere to someone, but old habits die hard. Even now, she whispered quietly to herself, no one wants me. He had that same calm confidence that made him seem larger than he was, a presence that could anchor a drifting soul. You shouldn't be wandering alone, he said, offering her a cup. Not when there are so many people who would rather see you fail than succeed. She hated how vulnerable her voice sounded, but she could not hide it from him. Elias had already seen too much. You can think anywhere, he said with a slight smile, but you don't have to do it alone. Elias gestured to the cup in her hands. It's a special blend from Earth, he explained. Humans love to share small comforts with one another. It doesn't change the galaxy, but it helps. She finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you really care about someone like me? Its small metallic body reflected the dim lights of the observation deck. I made this to help plants survive in dying environments. I thought maybe it could be useful someday, but no one here cares. And it's yours. Lyra tensed instinctively. Footsteps, heavy and deliberate, approached. She knew the sound, her heart dropped. The same bronze-skinned aliens who had harassed her yesterday were back. Elias noticed her reaction immediately. We should move, he said calmly. He didn't hesitate or panic. They're not here to chat. Come on. As they moved, Elias glanced at her. You designed this device yourself, right? He asked. Lyra nodded. Yes, I've been working on it for months. I thought it could help, maybe in colonies that are struggling to survive. That's why they fear you. They reached a service lift and stepped inside. Elias hit the controls, sending them up several levels. You see, Lyra, he said softly, sometimes people treat others badly because they don't understand them. Humans we try to see, and we act. That's how we survive and how we help. She had spent so long invisible, so long feeling unwanted, that the idea someone might act for her was overwhelming. She wanted to believe it, but her mind still whispered doubts. The lift doors opened to a quiet corridor near the observation decks. Elias led her to a secluded platform overlooking the station's docking bay. Ships of all shapes and sizes glided in and out. The scene was calm, almost peaceful, despite the chaos of the marketplace below. Look at that, Elias said, gesturing at the vast expanse. So many journeys, so many lives, and each of those lives matters, including yours. Maybe she could matter somewhere, maybe she could belong. Just as she was beginning to feel that hope, the hum of engines changed. A small patrol ship, the emblem of the hostile faction that had harassed her, moved into the docking bay. Lyra stiffened. Her hands gripped the edge of the railing. They're here, she whispered. Elias' expression remained calm. Then we act, he said. We can't hide forever, but we can use what you've created and what we have to make sure they don't win. Fear was still there, a constant shadow, but it was now mixed with something new, determination. She had always wanted to make a difference. Now, for the first time, she had a chance to do it with someone who believed in her. Elias guided her back toward a small shuttle near the edge of the station. The patrol ship's sensors scanned the docks, but Elias had studied their patterns and knew exactly how to avoid detection. As they moved, Lyra noticed how precise he was, how calm, how confident. She realized that humans were capable of thinking in ways others could not, adapting, planning, caring at the same time. Once aboard the shuttle, they sealed the doors and prepared for departure. Lyra's hands shook slightly as she set her device on the console. She looked at Elias. What if they follow us? She asked. They might, he admitted. But humans face challenges all the time. We adapt, we protect those who matter. And you matter, Lyra, trust me on that. For the first time, someone had not only recognized her abilities, but also acted to give her a chance. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. The shuttle lifted off smoothly, gliding past the docking bay, past the bright lights of the station. Below, the hostile patrol ship moved slowly, scanning, but they did not detect the small, quiet craft slipping away. Lyra's pulse began to slow, her fear replaced by cautious hope. Elias glanced at her. You see, you're already part of something bigger now. You're contributing, you're helping. That's what humans do, that's what we value. Now with this human beside her, she could imagine a life where she mattered, where her work mattered, where she belonged. As the shuttle jumped into faster-than-light travel, Lyra felt something she had never felt before, anticipation. A sense that this was only the beginning, that there was a place in the universe for her and perhaps even a home. And for the first time in her life, she allowed herself to believe that no one might ever truly be unwanted, not if someone like Elias existed. Lyra sat in the shuttle, her hands resting lightly on the console beside her invention. The device, small but powerful, hummed quietly, absorbing energy from the shuttle's systems and storing it for use. She watched the stars blur past the windows as they traveled faster than light, her thoughts a mixture of excitement and anxiety. She had left the station behind, yes, but the galaxy was vast, and she had no idea what dangers awaited. Elias noticed her tense posture. "Relax, Lyra," he said softly, his voice calm and steady. "We're not out of danger yet, but we have a plan. That's what matters." "You've never had anyone believe in you like this," Elias said suddenly, breaking her thoughts. "That can feel strange, even scary. Humans see potential, we nurture it." Lyra examined her device, thinking of the ways it could help colonies on distant planets. If it could sustain life in harsh environments, it could save countless lives. She felt pride swelling inside her, a feeling she had almost forgotten. Suddenly, the shuttle's sensors beeped sharply. Elias leaned forward, scanning the display. "We've got company," he said. "A patrol ship from the faction back at the station. They must have followed our trail." She had always thought of her invention as small, almost insignificant, but Elias believed it could make a difference. And now, for the first time, she believed it too. He guided her hands to the controls. "We'll project a small energy pulse from your device. It's enough to temporarily disrupt the patrol ship's sensors. That will give us the chance to escape." Elias steered the shuttle through an asteroid field, weaving between rocks with precision that made Lyra's pulse race. She marveled at his skill. He moved as if the ship were an extension of his own body. The patrol ship faltered, its sensors still disrupted. Lyra realized that her small invention had played a critical role in their escape. A surge of pride warmed her chest. She was not just along for the ride, she was contributing, saving lives, making a difference. After several tense minutes, they emerged from the asteroid field. The patrol ship was behind them, unable to pursue without risking collision. Lyra exhaled deeply, feeling a mixture of relief and exhilaration. "You see," Elias said, glancing at her, "you made that possible. You're not just surviving, you're impacting the universe." The shuttle continued on its course toward a human-friendly colony, a place where she might finally find belonging. Along the way, Elias explained the colonies, the humans' approach to cooperation, and how each individual was valued for their unique contributions. Lyra listened intently, absorbing the vision of a world where no one was left behind, where intelligence, creativity, and compassion were celebrated. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alert on the shuttle's dashboard. Another patrol ship, larger this time, had entered their trajectory. Elias' expression tightened. "They're faster than I expected. We need to think quickly." "Exactly what I was thinking, but I couldn't have come up with the method without you. You're the one who knows the device best." Elias maneuvered the shuttle with precision, slipping through the confusion. Lyra felt her heart leap with exhilaration. For the first time, she was not just being protected, she was actively protecting them both. Her invention, her ingenuity, her quick thinking had saved their lives. She realized that humans did not just see value in her, they relied on it. After several tense hours, they finally cleared the pursuit. The shuttle glided into calmer space, stars stretching endlessly around them. Lyra slumped into her seat, exhaustion and relief washing over her. Elias turned to her, a smile of genuine admiration on his face. "You did it, Lyra. You saved us. Not just me. Your skills, your mind, your creativity, they matter. And you matter. There are entire worlds out there, struggling, needing help. And you can make a difference. Humans build, protect, and create, but we need people like you. People who think differently, who see solutions others can't." She had left behind loneliness and rejection. She had found a companion who believed in her, and she had discovered that her talents were not just useful, they were vital. Hours passed as the shuttle traveled through safe corridors of space, Lyra and Elias preparing for the next stage of their journey. Elias explained the colonies they would visit, the alliances humans had formed, and the ways different species collaborated for survival. Lyra listened, absorbing everything. She imagined herself contributing, innovating, making a home among those who valued her for who she was. Night came aboard the shuttle, the stars outside unchanging and eternal. Lyra lay back, her mind buzzing with possibilities. She thought of her invention, of the lives it could touch, of the humans and aliens she might help. She thought of Elias, who had shown her that kindness, courage, and intelligence could coexist in one person. She realized something profound. Humans were not perfect. They made mistakes, they faced dangers, they sometimes failed. But they also cared, they acted, they built, and most importantly, they believed in others. Lyra closed her eyes, a quiet smile on her face. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was moving toward something real, a future she could shape, a place where she could belong, and a life where she was wanted. As the shuttle sailed through the darkness of space, a tiny hum from her device reminded her that her work, her mind, and her courage had power. And with that power, she was no longer alone. She was part of something bigger, something meaningful. And for the first time, she truly believed that she could change the world. The shuttle glided through the quiet emptiness of space, its engines a soft hum that filled the small cabin. Lyra sat near the console, her hands lightly brushing her device. Each pulse of energy reminded her that it was more than a tool, it was a symbol of what she could accomplish. She had left the station behind, survived the pursuit, and learned that someone truly valued her. And yet a feeling of tension lingered. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, and she knew danger could appear at any moment. Elias noticed her thoughtful expression. "Still worried?" he asked, his voice gentle. Lyra nodded. "I've survived on my own for so long. I'm not used to relying on someone else." And yet this human, this stranger, had risked everything to help her. She felt a mixture of awe and gratitude. I think I'm starting to understand," she said softly. "That's good," Elias replied. "Understanding is the first step. The next step is action, and soon we'll need to act." She had spent her life hiding, feeling worthless. Now she had the chance to prove her worth, not just to Elias, but to herself and the universe. The shuttle's sensors beeped suddenly, pulling both of them to attention. A massive ship appeared on their trajectory, its sleek black surface reflecting the distant starlight. Lyra's stomach tightened. It was the flagship of the faction that had pursued them before, a warship armed and relentless. "They've found us," Elias said calmly, though his eyes were sharp with focus. "We'll need to be smart. They're faster, stronger, and better armed, but they don't have your device. That's our advantage." The hum of energy filled her with a strange sense of courage. She had created this small invention, and now it could make the difference between life and death. She wasn't helpless. She had power, knowledge, and the support of someone who believed in her. Elias guided the shuttle closer to an asteroid belt. "We'll use the terrain to our advantage," he explained. "You'll deploy the device in intervals to confuse their sensors. If we move carefully, we can slip past." Elias steered with precision, weaving between the massive rocks that filled the belt. Each maneuver was calculated, each pulse of the device timed to perfection. The tension in the cabin was palpable, but Lyra felt an unexpected thrill. For the first time, she was not just following orders, she was contributing to their survival. Every calculation, every adjustment of the device was crucial. She realized that her talents, long ignored and dismissed, were now vital. After several tense minutes, the shuttle slipped through the narrow passages of the asteroid belt. The warship, confused and delayed, struggled to keep up. Lyra exhaled, her hands trembling slightly. She had faced fear before, but never like this, never with the knowledge that her intellect and creativity could save lives. "You did it," Elias said, his eyes shining with admiration. "You saved us, not just me, you, your work, your mind, your courage, it all matters." The shuttle continued toward a distant human colony, a place designed to welcome all species. Elias explained the colony's principles as they traveled: cooperation, equality, and the belief that every individual had value. Lyra listened intently, absorbing the vision of a world where no one was left behind, where intelligence and creativity were celebrated, and where compassion guided actions. Hours passed, and the shuttle's course brought them closer to the colony's outer rim. Lyra's mind was filled with anticipation. She imagined the people she might meet, the lives she could help, and the possibilities that awaited her. She had spent so long feeling invisible, but soon she would step into a world that recognized her worth. Suddenly, the shuttle shuddered as a warning light flashed on the console. Another patrol ship had detected them, moving fast and closing the distance. Elia's hands flew over the controls. "They're persistent," he muttered. "We need to be clever. If we combine it with the shuttle systems, we can create a temporary shield, something that makes them think we've jumped to another sector." A shimmering field of light surrounded the shuttle, flickering like a mirage. The pursuing ship sensors went haywire, scanning the false readings and ignoring the real shuttle. Elias took the opportunity to accelerate, slipping past the patrol and into the safer regions of space. Lyra's heart raced, but a smile spread across her face. She had done it. She had taken her skills, her invention, and used them to protect both of them. For the first time, she realized that she was not just a passenger in her own life, she was an active participant. She could change the course of events, make a difference, and save lives. As they continued, Elias turned to her. "You know, Lyra, humans build communities, but we also build trust. And trust is what allows people to do incredible things. Today, you showed me, and the universe, what you're capable of." She was capable, valuable, and wanted, not just by him, but by the universe she was beginning to touch. The stars stretched endlessly around them as they approached the colony. The human settlement came into view, a vibrant mix of habitats, research centers, and docking bays. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved among the stations, welcoming new arrivals. Lyra felt a thrill of excitement. This was a place where she could belong, where she could contribute, where her ideas and skills would be appreciated. Elias guided the shuttle to a landing pad. As they descended, he spoke softly. "Soon, Lyra, you'll see what it's like to be part of a community that values every individual. You'll find your place here, and you'll discover that you've been wanted all along. You just needed the right people to see it." The shuttle touched down gently, and the doors opened to reveal a crowd of humans and aliens, all moving with purpose but welcoming in demeanor. They were busy, yet they paused to acknowledge the arrival of new arrivals. Lyra felt a strange but comforting sensation, a feeling of being seen, recognized, and valued. As they stepped out of the shuttle, Elias placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Welcome to your new beginning, Lyra. Here, you will find people who understand that every individual matters, and you will help make this place even better." She had survived danger, trusted someone for the first time, and used her skills to make a real impact. And now, as she walked beside Elias into the heart of the colony, she felt a quiet certainty. She was no longer invisible. She was no longer unwanted. She had found a place, and perhaps even a home, where she truly mattered. Her journey was far from over, but for the first time, Lyra felt ready. She had courage, knowledge, and the support of someone who believed in her. And with that, she was prepared to face whatever the universe had in store. For the first time in her life, she was not just surviving. She was thriving. The sun rose over the colony, casting a warm, golden light across the sleek buildings and sprawling habitats. Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking the bustling activity below. For the first time in her life, she felt a sense of belonging. The colony was alive with motion, humans and aliens working side by side, ships docking and departing, and the hum of energy running through the city's systems. Every corner reflected a community built on cooperation, trust, and the belief that every individual mattered. Elias appeared beside her, his hands tucked casually into his jacket pockets. "Good morning," he said, his smile as calm and reassuring as ever. "Sleep well." They value each other. The small device had already drawn attention from the colony's engineers and scientists. They marveled at its ingenuity, asking her questions she had never been asked before. No one had dismissed her work, laughed at her ideas, or told her she was unimportant. For the first time, she felt that her mind and efforts had real value. Elias placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Today is about more than just survival. Today is about growth. You've already contributed to keeping us alive. Now it's time to see how you can help others." She could belong, she could be wanted. Their first task came quickly. A sector of the colony's greenhouses was experiencing oxygen shortages, threatening delicate plants essential for food and research. Lyra's device was perfectly suited to stabilize the atmosphere temporarily. She set it up carefully, aligning the energy converters to maximize output while monitoring its efficiency. Elias watched silently, his presence supportive but not overbearing. "You're ready for this," he said softly. "Trust yourself. You've done this before, and now people need your skills." Sensors indicated stable oxygen levels. Plants that had begun to wilt perked up, their leaves stretching toward the light. A small group of engineers entered the greenhouse, their faces lighting up in surprise and admiration. "Incredible," one said. "This device, your design, is perfect. We've never seen anything like it." For years, she had been ignored, ridiculed, and dismissed. Now she was recognized, respected, and celebrated. She realized that her talents were not just useful, they were vital. Elias stood quietly in the background, a faint smile on his face. He had believed in her from the start, had shown her that her worth was not defined by others' judgment. Lyra felt gratitude, not just for him, but for the human's way of seeing potential and nurturing it. Over the next few days, Lyra became an integral part of the colony's operations. She collaborated with engineers, scientists, and researchers, improving the device, creating new variations, and solving problems that had stumped others for months. She was challenged, encouraged, and supported in ways she had never experienced. One evening, as the colony settled into a quiet rhythm, Lyra and Elias stood on the balcony again. Ships glided in the distance, and the soft hum of the colony filled the air. Lyra's thoughts drifted to her past, the station where she had been ignored, the patrols that had chased them, the isolation that had defined her life. And now here she felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. She was no longer the outcast. She was wanted. She was needed. Elias spoke softly, almost as if reading her thoughts. "You've done more than survive, Lyra. You've thrived. You've saved lives, inspired people, and shown that one person can make a difference. You always have." A small research colony on a distant moon had sent an urgent message. An oxygen generator had failed, and the colonists were in danger. Elias and Lyra volunteered immediately, taking her device and additional equipment. The journey was tense, but Lyra felt a confidence she had never known before. She was not alone, she was not powerless, and her knowledge was crucial. Upon arrival, the colonists were desperate. Machines hummed erratically, alarms sounded, and panic was visible on every face. Lyra quickly assessed the situation, setting up her device to stabilize the oxygen levels. She worked efficiently, guided by her understanding of energy conversion and atmospheric stabilization. Hours passed as she adjusted settings, recalibrated sensors, and monitored the colonists' environment. Elias assisted where needed, coordinating efforts and ensuring safety. Slowly, the atmosphere stabilized. The colonists' panic subsided, replaced by astonishment and relief. One colonist stepped forward, eyes wide. "You saved us," he said. "We thought we were done for." "How can we ever thank you? This is what humans and those who care do. We lift each other, we protect each other, and we believe in each other." She had found a home, not just in the colony, but in the belief that she mattered, in the knowledge that her talents could save lives, and in the trust that Elias had shown her. Back at the colony, the leadership recognized her contribution officially. She was given a place among the engineers and researchers, her skills respected and valued. For the first time, she had a community, colleagues who listened, learned from her, and collaborated with her. Elias smiled as they walked through the busy corridors. "You see, Lyra," he said, "you've gone from feeling unwanted to being celebrated, and this is only the beginning. There's a whole galaxy out there, and now you know you can make a difference." That evening, as the sun set over the colony, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Lyra stood with Elias on the balcony again. Ships passed by, colony lights twinkled below, and the gentle hum of life surrounded them. She felt a deep sense of peace and purpose. "You were right," she said softly. "I do matter. I've been wanted all along, I just didn't know it." More than that, she had thrived. Her invention had saved lives, her mind had made a difference, and her courage had been recognized. For the first time, she truly believed in herself. She was no longer the outcast, no longer unwanted. She had found her home, her purpose, and her place in a universe that had finally seen her worth. And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Lyra smiled, a smile full of hope, confidence, and belonging. The galaxy was hers to explore, to help, and to inspire. She had been wanted all along, and now she knew it with every fiber of her being. The future awaited, bright and limitless, and Lyra was ready.